With a gravity-defying derriere and an encyclopedic knowledge of scatological references, Ice Spice is no stranger to controversy. From featuring a minor twerking in her music video to sparking satanic panic amongst religious folks and breaking not only the internet, but relationships with her ass. Allegedly, the 24-year-old rap sensation is like a popcorn kernel stuck in between my molars. I cannot get rid of her for the life of me. So like any normal person, I want to talk about it. Online. Ice Spice's fame is like a mirror, reflecting the quirks and contradictions of our contemporary culture, where the essence of her fame metaphorically encapsulates the 7 deadly sins. So in today's video, I want to discuss the paradoxical nature of Ice Spice's fame. What's the lore behind her rise? How do we, as consumers, along with societal biases and pop culture, fuel her internet reign? Because let's be real, Miss Ma'am is successful, and it's worth dissecting how she managed to climb to the top while stirring the pot along the way. Or shall I say, shitting in the pot along the way. Who would have thought a little bit of this and a little bit of that is all it would take for her to soar like a bird in a rap game? I did. Now let's talk about it. Pop culture is representative of the times, and that says a lot about Ice Spice's popularity. It's a reflection of consumer behavior and cultural biases. So while her songs always go viral and perform relatively well for someone wet behind the ears, is her fame indicative of genuine musical talent, or is it a mere byproduct of a social, creative, intellectual, and cognitive transference within our society? Spoiler alert, it's the latter. As I mentioned in my first video I did about the state of hip hop, go check that out after you finish this video. We are living in the fast food era of music, but more specifically mainstream hip hop. In our digital age of overconsumption, we've shifted from valuing artistry and versatility to prioritizing aesthetics and virality, leading to a decline in the quality of mainstream rap as evidenced by trends in streaming numbers and social media engagement. And this is shown in Ice Spice's rise to fame. Before her song Euphoric, before her Drake approved On the Radar freestyle, and before Munch dropped, Ice Spice only had 2 songs out. But that was enough for James Roseman Jr., founder and CEO of Mastermind Artists and son of former entertainment record executive Jimmy Henchman, to see her potential. Ice Spice and James Roseman Jr. met in March 2022 through his producer/DJ when he was scouting for female talent and Ice Spice was looking for a manager. Within that same month, they decided to seal the deal. Given the growing importance of looks and catchiness, it's no surprise that Ice Spice's very small discography caught Roseman's attention. Ice Spice's earlier music wasn't as repetitive as her current tracks, so certain elements did stand out to me. The abundant usage of the word like, which became sort of a signature in her flow. Her clothing selection and twerking in contrast with the heartfelt lyrics added a comical, almost ironic layer to her performances, but that was about it. Sonically, there wasn't much in those early tracks that screamed she's up next, unless you factor in the crossover drill beats with Riot USA, her producer, and her image. It was this mix that caught Roseman's attention and made her an appealing figure to him. Now, as a Texas girl, I know next to nothing about the current state of East Coast music because I much prefer the classic New York sound. But when I explored other female rappers in the New York drill scene, I was blown away by their lyrics, flow, cadence, wit, and energy. Qualities I just didn't get from Ice Spice. Yet, without the same image or the curls, as Roseman put it, they seem to have been overlooked. We're clearly in an era where true artistry is being overshadowed by the quick, viral hit. But what does that mean for the future of rap music? And will we ever see a return to more substance-driven music? Or is this the new normal? There's minimal focus on artistic craftsmanship because society has decided that the appeal of an artist supersedes talent. And while talent is subjective, Ice Spice seems to lack that enduring depth that sets truly captivating artists apart, making her appeal feel more fleeting and surface level. Her rhymes are rudimentary, and she recycles the same variation of emotes, highlighting pretty much her best asset, pun intended, her body. I'm no better than a man, so I'd be the last to drag someone for shaking a little ass and looking good while doing it. But she's not a sex worker. I'm all for sexual liberation. Love it. But as a rapper, sonics should be front and center, not overshadowed by your looks and body, which unfortunately seems to be a significant part of her appeal.
Stop relying on that body.
And I know what the misogynists are thinking. What are you talking about, lady? All these females twerking, none of them know how to rap. And I also know what the stands are thinking. Ice Spice is top 2 and she ain't 2, and you're just a hater. But if we could all briefly hold our horses, Ice Spice is not like any other female artist I've seen in the past. She almost has this NPC-like instinct to shake what her mama gave her most, if not all the time. Yes, other mainstream female artists also gyrate that posterior, but other female artists also genuinely rap. Yes, they twerk too, but they're dancing to add to the turn up rather than making the experience rely on their physique. In Ice Spice's case, it seems like a crutch, as if she doesn't know what else to do, which is why I said it'd be different if she were in a different profession. Like if she were a neo video vixen or just an influencer, then she could get away with this. But as a musical artist, the emphasis should ideally be on her musical skills rather than being seen primarily as eye candy.
She get money, her body tea. She's super thick, she's super pretty.
But what else? It's not her lyrics, flow, wordplay, originality, stage presence, or technical skills. It's her physicality. She has the look, aka marketability, which was confirmed by her manager. But is that truly enough to propel someone to the heights that she's reached so quickly? Come a little closer. Has pretty privilege and convoluted our musical perceptions to the point where music is just a bonus? Are we really okay with this? Or is it time to raise our standards, even just by a little? There's not much that's memorable about her musical abilities other than her profuse use of the word like.
We gon' start to the front, we gon' click till it's done, and let's have some fun. Like, when they running at me, hope they ready to run. We got unlimited guns. Like, I done built at the top, I'm just ready to dump. Like,
her matter-of-factly tone and that one tweet clocking an alleged gap. But despite that,
I mean, let me ask the audience.
Granted, Ice Spice herself said she makes cute and fun music and admits to having super simple bars. So nobody's going to her for profound lyricism or wordplay, Kylie, just a quick little turn up. But the way I've heard people in media outlets talking up her musical game and hyping her up as if she's the modern day Beethoven is preposterous. If she, a loved one, or someone on her team is watching this, I have one tiny favor to ask. Since we're getting such easy and unambiguous music, can we at least compensate for that by updating the wardrobe and investing some more into the choreography / stage presence fun? Instead of having her appear on a Kai Cenat stream and twerking when asked to freestyle.
I'm saying I can freestyle.
Okay, let me hear you freestyle.
Y'all like my freestyle?
You like a freestyle?
That was my freestyle.
That was your freestyle?
Yeah. I told y'all Kai stay supporting me.
I don't know, maybe use that time to work on stage presence and take a piece of the budget from music and put that into her look and performances, please. Y'all got that girl out here dressed like she's performing on Fordham Road when she's doing worldwide tours.
I feel like what I'm wearing right now is very Bronx coded and very Fordham Road coded, like this type of
Her clothes seem like an afterthought, less about enhancing her performance and more about showcasing her figure. Simple bars might come with simple costumes, but this approach feels a bit lazy. I get it. Sex appeal is part of the brand, and if she's comfortable and loves what she's wearing, more power to her. But again, it seems like there's been this heavy reliance on body over musicality. I don't want to keep comparing her to other female artists because she's not other female artists, but in the entertainment industry, you're going to get compared, contrasted, critiqued, and some more. So cry me a river, build me a bridge, and get over it. This reliance feels lazy when you look at artists like Lotto, for example, who also exudes sex appeal and is arguably as equally provocative as Ice Spice. However, Lotto didn't build her brand solely off that. Sure, she leverages her desirability to her advantage, but it's not the cornerstone of her artistry. Every artist has to figure out what works for them, and they have to market to their audience. And considering Ice Spice's demographic, her approach is working. And again, offers sexual liberation, but I feel like she's becoming monotonous. She's nearing 3 years in the entertainment world, which is a long time in the internet age. So this whole new artist excuse ain't really gonna cut it no more, and eventually she'll have to diversify if she wants to be taken seriously by those outside of her intended audience and to achieve longevity as a true artist. You can only do the same party trick for so long until it gets old, and I feel like her brand at the moment is very one-dimensional, and she could benefit from stepping away from certain things, or she'll risk becoming a one-trick pony. Exactly what J. Cole tried to warn us about.
but you forgot you only pop cause you was riding trends. Now you old news. Just remember what I told you when you flop. In 5 years, you gonna be on Love and Hip Hop.
Bear in mind that this criticism is from someone outside of her target audience, but I grew up around her target audience, so I get the appeal. She's pretty, she's sort of relatable, but I find it hard to see much else beyond that. She claims to not like this as a compliment.
What's a compliment is to you?
at least she's pretty. Does it not sound backhanded as
But as a music listener, that's really all I got for her. The most enjoyable part of her music for me is the beats, but she doesn't make those, so I can't fully credit those to her. Her entire discography is what, an hour and some change, probably a bit less, which leaves me wondering about her longevity. Sure, she's built a fan base now full of unbearable stans and adults my age who should be ashamed of themselves for their behavior, but what happens when those people grow up and hopefully, keyword, hopefully, evolve? What will she do? I mean, when I was in middle school, I enjoyed listening to 6ix9ine and Lil Pump. But I'm grown now, and I reminisce on those times with a mix of nostalgia and disbelief. But I don't revisit those songs at all, and I forgot those people existed up until now. The point is that when we prioritize popularity and marketability over creativity and musical talent, we end up with the music industry that values image more than substance. This further encourages labels to sign and promote artists who might be lackluster in terms of artistry, but have strong market appeal.
When it comes to other female rappers' success that are happening now and everything, some females are gonna come up faster than others. And a lot of people will think that it's that, oh, that's because their labels are putting money behind them, this and that. The labels are putting money behind the girls that people are listening to. The labels are putting money behind the girls that people are listening to. The labels are putting money behind the girls that people are listening to. So if you feel like somebody is coming really fast and everything, that's because y'all listening to them. The labels only go with who's getting the most listens, who are getting the most plays, who are people are watching more. You cannot blame nobody for that. You can't blame no machine for that. You can't blame nothing for that. Labels are only gonna put money on artists that people are listening to. You can't hate on that. You just can't.
Ultimately, this cause and effect diminishes the true artistry in music, leading to a culture where image often overshadows substance. And as we continue down this path, we risk losing the depth and innovation that makes music truly compelling. So how do fun and cute music with overly simplistic bars achieve such success? Marketing. Her manager claims that he's very big on education. So before releasing Munch, Roseman had Ice Spice meet with a few executives so she could see the difference in conversation before having a hit record versus while having a record blow up. He claims that even before her success, they were never really told no, but it was more of a, we'll get back to you, even though we all know that means no. However, after Munch dropped and started doing numbers, those same people, among many more, were trying to figure out how they could sign her within 24 hours or less. This just magnifies how much of the music is an afterthought. You don't have to be genuinely talented. You just need to be viral and engaging long enough for word to get back to the industry, and boom, rap career. It's like day and night when you put out a hit and work it compared to trying to sell yourself as a true artist before having any hits nowadays. Labels don't care about artistry. They care about the business side of things. Plainly put, money. They care about money. It takes less time and involves less risk to sign someone who's already viral and take a chance on their fame rather than to craft, develop, and invest in an artist before they have a hit. And you know, I understand this way of doing things because in our current cyclical climate, industries are mostly marketing to Gen Z and Gen A. So considering the times, it does sound silly to take the chance on someone who doesn't already have a name for themselves. But, and it's a big one, that's how we've been introduced to some great artists, and that's how we've seen long-term careers and generational talents in the music industry. Not because these people already had a platform, but because they put in their 10,000 hours and curated their abilities in addition to their image over time. Today, the focus is more on shock value in the race to see who can write or at least recite the most TikTok-worthy bars in as little time as possible, and Ice Spice is taking the cake. Every last one of her singles after Munch has gone viral and has allowed her to reach several milestones very earlier in her career that some artists don't achieve until years later or don't accomplish at all. Before Munch dropped, when it was just a preview, she received a Drake cosign. That isn't saying much because it's Drake.
The insidiousness of the Drake stimulus package. This is basically how the stimulus package goes. Someone or something hot happens in pop culture, be it a new rapper, a new pop star, hell, even a new child actor in a movie, and then suddenly there's Drake. And this is not an accident. This is a very cynical thing that he continues to do. And I'll explain why this is bad later.
But it says everything because it's Drake. Before the song even came out, he DM'd her personally and said that he was going to play it on his radio station. Now, we all know that Drake has a long history of inboxing women along with some other people whom he probably shouldn't be in contact with.
Widows in my comments talking about some Millie Bobby.
Nonetheless, Drake is a big name in the entertainment industry, and to receive a Drake cosign before your song is even released will do nothing but propel you forward. A month after Munch dropped, she performed at Rolling Loud 22 in both Toronto and New York. 6 months after that, she received a cosign from Nicki Minaj, and the following month, she collabed with Nicki for the first time, and once more 2 months later for the Barbie movie. And the most shocking, a month after her final Nicki collab, she hopped on a track with Taylor Swift. Strangest crossover episode ever. By the way, that was not on my 2023 musical bingo card. In addition to these milestones, among many more, she's received several music awards, secured an upcoming feature in a Spike Lee film with Denzel Washington, and landed brand collaborations with Beyonce's Ivy Park and Adidas campaign, a signature drink at Dunkin' Donuts, and a starring role in a Starry Soda commercial during the Super Bowl, all within a year and a half. Did I just hear one of y'all say plant? Oh, you said that because in Bikini Bottom she said,
"How can I lose if I'm already chose?"
So you feel as if her success was predetermined? I mean, in her recent album, she did say,
"How you mad I do less? Cause you gotta do more."
Not to get theoretical or anything, Ice Spice has referred to herself as a marketing genius, indicating she's well aware of market dynamics and is capitalizing on them intentionally. This may sound controversial, but it's likely why we haven't seen her fro in a while, and probably will see it less and less unless she decides to partake in the Length Olympics. In the music industry, image is everything. So among various things, the look of an artist is constantly evolving to stay relevant and to keep an audience engaged. For Ice Spice, moving away from her natural hair could be seen as a way to appeal to a broader audience and fit into a more digestible aesthetic. Historically, like many other entertainment sectors, Black and multiracial women in the rap industry often don't wear their natural hair on stage or in media. And this isn't just about personal style, it's again about marketability and audience perception. So altering her look can make her more palatable to a wider audience who might have subconscious biases about Black natural hairstyles. And this doesn't mean she's abandoning her roots, it's about, again, playing the game. She's positioning herself in a way that maximizes her appeal and market reach, capitalizing on the industry's and audience's expectations. Considering these marketing techniques, it raises the question of whether Ice Spice's rapid rise is solely a result of her ingenious marketing, or if there are other forces at play. Which brings us to the notion of the IP phrase. You either agree or disagree with the concept, but industry plant. Without getting too hypothetical and woo-wooey, the term is widely debated, but ultimately it refers to an artist who experiences sudden success due to significant industry backing. However, the responsibility for an artist's prominence doesn't entirely rest with the industry, it also involves listeners. America is a big-time corporation, and the music and entertainment industry are one of many stages these institutions and performers alike are able to capitalize off the strengths, weaknesses, vices, and desires of their audiences. The industry plant conversations in hip hop are so prevalent because, for one, the barriers to entry are tremendously low, and two, commodification, commercialization, and corporatization are most, if not all the time, the end goal to anything in America. So when we see somebody come into the limelight out of nowhere, it's easy to attribute that to an unseen elite force since it's profits over people. And I don't think it's too far off to speculate on the concept of industry plants as a whole. I do think a lot of careers in the entertainment industry are manufactured in a way for labels to make a decent return on investment, because when you're in the industry, you are the product. It is a label's responsibility to promote their artists, whether they are subjectively talented or not. At the end of the day, labels aren't here to preserve the art, they're here again to make money. So ultimately, I don't think Ice Spice's career is some deep state elaborate scheme to take over the world, but I do believe that industries play on the vulnerabilities and shortcomings of our society. That is why Ice Spice is famous after all, because she's what we view socially as the perfect mold, a creative character type of woman, if you will. She was a profitable blank canvas for the industry. She's young, so that opens her up to the Gen Z and Gen A markets. She is a light-skinned, alleged multiracial from the hood, and I only say alleged because some things have came out about her dad not actually being Nigerian, but that expands her reach, allowing her to brand herself in a way that multiple audiences can relate to, which also leaves room for her to be white-knighted. And initially, her body was tea, as the young folks like to say, which left room for her to be sought after by men. Even if they were distasteful of her quote-unquote artistry, that's still another market that she was available to. So having a good label or team and being marketable doesn't make you an industry plant, but it does spark bigger conversations about how talent is no longer a requirement for success. She's living proof that an artist's rise to stardom is not dependent on what you know or are good at, but who you know or who knows you rather. It also really makes you think about how we allow looks and desirability to quickly usher somebody into the spotlight, and how these age-old systems of oppression are still recurrent and can be the gold mine or the heart of somebody's career. I love a good conspiracy theory or an anecdotal conversation as much as the next Homo sapien, but it's high time we look at the roles we play in our society rather than solely blaming one entity, because it's a multitude of things and not just the evil elites of the music industry. This distinction is crucial as it highlights how consumer behavior can drive trends and the amplification of so-called industry plants. This topic also calls attention to a broader theme where audiences are more likely to support what's currently popular rather than genuinely engaging with the artistry, and this is shown pretty much throughout throughout all of Ice Spice's drops, but it was heightened this time around with the rollout of her single Did It First featuring Central C. This was a huge PR stunt as confirmed by Central C's now ex-girlfriend.
My ex-boyfriend kind of publicly violated me through the means of using me as a pawn in his PR stunt and also not informing me of his PR stunt, which was to essentially make it look like he's sleeping with another girl, who obviously was not me. This was never a PR stunt on my side. It was a PR stunt on theirs. They were a PR stunt. This was planned weeks and months in advance.
The rollout for this one song was better than the rollout for Ice Spice's entire album, but before the song dropped, their team made sure the world knew they were collaborating by uploading photos of them in the studio together. They ensured that fans knew they were seen together in London when media outlets like Complex Music, Daily Mail UK, The Shade Room, and DJ Academics uploaded videos and articles speculating on the artist's relationship status. Their team then decided to set up an I Spy for their fans to partake in when Central C and Ice Spice were both seen cruising around together in Central C's Lamborghini. This is not only how they caught the public's eye, but remained on folks' timeline. Psychology plays a ginormous role in marketing and advertising, and I feel like its relevance is often underestimated because many people simply aren't aware of how deeply it influences their behavior. Our insatiable demand for information drives our curiosity and engagement, which is evident in how we consume media and music, often gravitating towards dramatic narratives and viral moments. The collective curiosity combined with the hive mind effect means that once a buzz is created, like the one surrounding Ice Spice and Central C, it spreads rapidly, drawing in more people who want to be part of the conversation. We've seen similar patterns in 2022 with Drake, in 2023 with Nicki Minaj and Taylor Swift, and this year with Central C, Travis Scott, and the continued influence of Nicki Minaj and Taylor Swift. This insatiable curiosity is a basic element of our cognition and a powerful driver of engagement and learning. By tapping into these psychological principles, Ice Spice's team has effectively kept her in the public's eye. Even if the PR isn't always favorable, and even if the music hasn't shown significant growth, the saying holds true: all press is good press. With the controversy surrounding Ice Spice and Central C, psychology worked. People were hate watching their content, but again, all publicity is good publicity, and engagement is all that matters. This debacle provided enough fuel for the algorithm to further amplify their content. Especially on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, engagement reigns supreme. When the sound goes viral, everyone wants to hop on the bandwagon to fame, so they use the sound regardless of its relevance to their content. This brings up another psychological tactic: repetition. Repetition is key to learning and development, whether it's learning your name when you're an infant, mastering a new language, forming a belief, or memorizing a song. This is why before dropping music, most artists preview their songs. It's a technique to familiarize people with what they're releasing, making the music stick. With the pervasive influence of social media, music spreads like wildfire to make memes, dances, edits, skits, you name it. So instead of just their target audience being in the know, the entire world is instantly tuned in. The rise of the digital marketplace has led labels to cut advertising costs tremendously. Instead of paying for TV time, for example, they can bypass the middleman and get direct access to the audience by paying an influencer, content creator, or one of those click farming spam bot pages on Twitter to promote the song for a fraction of the cost. You call it marketing, they call it programming, I call it brainwashing. I say all that to say repetition is how we learn and internalize information, making it a powerful tool in marketing for audience engagement. I didn't like that damn song when I first heard it, but after scrolling past it for the 47th time, I near knew all the words, inflections, ad-libs, everything. And y'all know that girl's songs be 2 minutes and 2 seconds, so I damn near knew the whole song already. Despite my initial dislike of the song, the constant exposure made it stick in my brain. Now, typically when Ice Spice is promoting a song, all she does is open TikTok, lip sync a few words, turn around and start gyrating that posterior or touch herself suggestively, and those videos do numbers. Now, we all know the phrase sex sells, but recent studies suggest that its effectiveness is evolving. While sexual imagery can capture attention, it doesn't necessarily translate or lead to increased sales, as consumers are now seeking more meaningful and relatable content. However, in our digital economy where attention is currency, it's all about engagement, clicks, and views. So you don't have to do anything but click and watch, and that's money in her pocket or fuel for the algorithm. While sex sales may not directly drive sales, it still plays a crucial role in capturing attention, which is the first step in converting that attention into profit or visibility. This is evident in the strong performance performance across her social media pages. However, her most recent album isn't doing as well so far. As I'm filming this, she's number 18 on the Billboard 200, with her album selling 28,000 units to date. Being on the Billboard isn't new for her, but for someone with as much commercial success and social media engagements as her, I'd expect the numbers to be higher, but they're not. The way the numbers are calculated in the music industry is a whole separate issue, so I won't get too deep into that, but it's only been 1 week though, so we'll see how it goes. All of this leads to a bigger question. Who's responsible for Ice Spice's meteoric rise? The industry or music consumers? Now that's a murky conversation, but I'd like to say it's a 50-50 split on a good day. Why? Supply and demand. We live in an era where our engagement with content directly influences what gets pushed to the forefront. So the more content we engage with, the more businesses and social platforms scramble to push, create, or replicate content to keep up with our wants, or in this case, to keep our attention hooked. Data is a gold mine, and I keep trying to tell y'all, attention is the currency of our digital age. Take a look at the music scene today. Have you noticed how many songs are built around that catchy 5 to 10 second soundbite? That's no accident. It's because label execs understand the power of the algorithm, and they know content with quick, engaging hooks is more likely to go viral. This is why, as I mentioned earlier, all of Ice Spice's singles after Munch have consistently blown up. Typically though, throughout her virality, it's mainly her choruses that aggregates attention, but on 2 occasions it's been both the chorus and a verse that gains traction, which in her case means the entire song. This is partly due to the brevity of her music and her digestibly simplistic lyrical approach, which makes her songs feel like one long ass Instagram caption, a format that's easy to digest and even easier to share. For example, her longest song, the Princess Diana remix, blew up mainly because the Nicki feature. There is an extended version, but that one didn't catch on as much, likely because it wasn't shared with the same intensity as the first one. Consumer trends are more than just a reflection of what we like. They shape the entire industry. When our ears become their pockets, it's clear that our listening habits directly influence what gets produced and promoted. This is why it's so important to engage in critical listening and mindful consumption, because our choices not only reflect, but also drive the direction of the music industry. Now, this wouldn't be a Kylee Simone original if I didn't mention one of the isms. Colorism is real, pretty privilege exists, and I'm just the messenger. It's probably a bit too late for this, but before y'all cane me,
that's why you won't never make it nowhere, sister. Then I'm a light-skinned woman, so I benefit from colorism. You're a dark-skinned woman, sister. You can never make it to the heights I make it from. Oh,
and the true anti-black misogynoir rhetoric gets spewed like projectile vomit, and I get accused of not being a girl's girl and called all types of loud, angry black women who's just envious, insecure, bitter. I invite you to listen with an open mind, ears, and heart. I know the schools are failing us, and critical thinking, listening skills, and comprehension aren't taught, but sometimes the truth hurts, even regarding your faves. And I know y'all internet warriors gets down for y'all's faves, but listen, cause you might learn something. Pretty privilege, the sugarcoating that sweetens the bitter pill of mediocrity, and colorism, racism's light-skinned, hazel-eyed younger sister. If racism weren't already bad enough, why he decided to take it one step further. Colorism is discrimination based on skin tone, in which lighter skinned people receive preferential treatment over those with darker skin within the same racial or ethnic group. And Ice Spice is colorism's current biggest beneficiary. While Ice Spice as a light-skinned woman can still face racism, her experience is shaped by the privileges of texturism, featureism, and colorism. These aspects of her appearance grant her certain advantages, which is why overtly offensive racial remarks may be less frequent, as her racial ambiguity and adherence to certain beauty standards offer her a certain degree of protection that darker skinned women do not experience. Colorism can and does impact opportunities in the entertainment industry. For instance, in Bollywood, actresses with lighter skin are often preferred for leading roles over their darker skinned counterparts. In Latin America, novelas predominantly feature white Latino actors, while darker skinned Afro-descendant or indigenous actors are left to play the help. These examples show how pervasive and damaging colorism is across different cultures and industries. Now, in the music industry, consider artists like Dej Loaf, Doechii, Tierra Whack, and Flo Milli, 4 incredibly talented darker skinned women who've been in the game long before Ice Spice, have collabed with big names or even had their big break, and yet have not achieved the same commercial success or industry backing as her. I don't like comparing black women, so this isn't to say that these women will never be as commercially successful as Ice Spice because of their skin color, because we know how Flo Milli feels about that. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this as a significant factor in Ice Spice's rapid rise to fame. Some might call it a reach, as Meg Thee Stallion Stallion is right there, one of the most gorgeous, lyrically apt, curvaceous, and successful women in the game right now. Yet, she's faced immense scrutiny, anti-blackness, masculinization, and misogynoir because of what she looks like. Despite being curvy and clearly feminine, Megan is often mocked and called manly because of her figure and stature, but mostly because she's darker. Now, historically, darker skinned individuals have always been viewed as more masculine regardless of their actual physical appearance. Ice Spice, despite also being curvy, has never had her sex called into question or been referred to as a man, so this stark difference in treatment highlights the intersections of colorism and misogynoir, where light-skinned women are often put on a pedestal, while darker-skinned women face harsher scrutiny and dehumanization under that same system. Now, I'll give credit when credit is due, and Ice Spice and that team of hers have been savvy in using what Granny Nim gave her. However, Megan Thee Stallion or even Flo Milli, who also present themselves in ways aligned with industry standards, have encountered either slower growth and recognition or disproportionate backlash due to the extra barriers they face. Another great example is Lil' Kim, but I'll just leave that article down below with all my other research material, and you can fall down that desirability rabbit hole yourself because it's a deep one. Being a darker skinned black woman myself in the South has given me a unique perspective, forcing me to be chronically aware of systemic discrimination and social inequalities from a very early age. Things like this are a bit complicated to explain without being gaslit or told it's all in your head by someone fortunate enough to not have experienced colorism or too ignorant to understand perspectives outside their own. And while I'm blessed that I'm not ignorant, willful, or unintentional, living at the cross sections of womanhood and blackness really allows for a different sensual experience of life. So if you don't understand, Google is also free, or I can elaborate further down below if it's genuine, but if it's not, you can eat dirt and kick rocks. Colorism is kind of one of those impromptu black experiences because it really feels like a if you know kind of thing, even though most, if not all, communities partake in colorism as well. But I say all that to say that this isn't just about individual experiences, it's about recognizing the broader patterns of bias and discrimination, because when we ignore colorism and its impacts, we perpetuate a system that unfairly advantages some while marginalizing others. I know there will be a lot of naysayers, but an important aspect of Ice Spice's marketability is her lighter skin tone and her looks, which aligns with these biases. Some argue that it's her unique style and talent, but let's not be dense and downplay how the industry and consumers reward certain aesthetic privileges. I love that we've moved into a time where artists can embrace their sexuality unapologetically because it mirrors our cultural conversations about sexual agency, body positivity, and the reclaiming of narratives by women, especially black women. Love my sisters. However, the heavy reliance on sexual imagery to sell records highlights the ongoing issue in an industry that still leans on these tactics to market female artistry. It's not that women shouldn't embrace their sexuality, because if they didn't, you and I wouldn't be here today. But relying on it excessively can become reductive, stalling artistic growth because physical appeal can outshine other aspects of creativity. This overemphasis also marginalizes those who don't conform to these norms, or even those who do but don't fit societal criteria for beauty or acceptability. For black women in the rap industry, the pressure to capitalize on sexual imagery is especially intense. I've noticed a pattern where black women are often ignored by the masses unless they conform to these hypersexualized norms, thus creating a cycle where they might feel compelled to emphasize their sexuality just to achieve or maintain relevancy. This dynamic reduces their artistic contributions to mere visual appeal, reinforcing harmful stereotypes that can limit their opportunities and potential for success. So until y'all stop critiquing women with one hand and clutching your privates with the other, there is no room for you to speak. It's easy to point fingers and blame black women for participating in a system that was never designed to work for them, but they're making the best of it. We all are. While the emphasis on hypersexuality can be harmful, it's also a response to a reality of an industry and a society that rewards it. Until this dynamic changes, women will continue to use these tools at their disposal to navigate these biases. Ice Spice is not only navigating these biases, she's leveraging them to stand out. Ice Spice is conventionally attractive. She has proportions that people are paying for, dying for, injuring themselves over, and lusting after, and she benefits from colorism. This marketability significantly contributes to her popularity, but her rise to fame also speaks volumes about contemporary culture, perfectly illustrating the culmination of what we prioritize socially and what happens when we pedestalize those qualities. The very factors that propelled her to stardom are the same ones she's criticized for: repetitive hooks, reliance on looks, mid-music, and twerking. People are getting tired of what they see as diminishing returns because she hasn't grown much sonically from her first hit to her latest album. The consensus, while she has switched it up ever so slightly, it's just not enough. Even though she's not that talented in the booth, for someone of her caliber, she's not on the level she should be. She's a mediocre artist and performer at best, so many people cannot fathom how she's achieved certain accomplishments so early in her career despite her limited artistic abilities. But it all circles back to that M word. Marketability. It takes more than 2 years for an artist to really come into their own, so I'm not expecting her to be great just yet. But there's been little to no improvement in the Ice Spice brand. And again, this highlights the ongoing issue with the industry signing these overnight sensations. For someone with as many resources and opportunities as she's had, we deserve a lot more substance, and it's just not being delivered. I, for one, think it's because she's gotten by with the bare minimum. Even when listeners have pointed this out, she gets defensive and rude despite the feedback being respectful. And I get it, famous folks are still human, but girl, take that energy to the booth.
Do you rap or do you tweet? Cause I can't tell, get in the booth.
In conclusion, there's a certain type of people in my generation and younger who she's being marketed to, so I understand. I'm not the target audience, and that's okay. But as a music lover, I've been nothing short of disappointed in the way we've been engaging with music over these last few years. It's worth questioning if this focus on image over substance will stand the test of time. Sure, it's perfect for TikTok, but it might be limited in the long run because social media could be gone tomorrow, but music is here forever. Her rise has been fueled by a combination of social media algorithms, strategic endorsements, collaborations with established artists, and a strong visual brand, all of which have significantly amplified her presence. While these elements have propelled her to fame, they also prompt us to reflect on what we as consumers value in our music and how we might be shaping the industry's future. Now, I'm not saying y'all gotta boycott Ice Spice and start a Make Rap Lyrical Again campaign, but maybe, just maybe, and hear me out because it's just a thought, we could start by being a tad bit more discerning with our streams. I know, radical concept. Instead of mindlessly hitting play on whatever the algorithm is serving you that day or whichever label is paying these streaming platforms the most money that week, how about we take a wild detour into the land of actual listening? Look, I get it, it's easier to go with the flow and maybe it's not that deep and it's just music, yada yada yada, but we should try to use our ears for more than just listening to TikToks or whatever is popping at the moment, and ask yourself, am I listening to it because it's trending or am I listening to it because I like it? I'm not asking y'all to write a dissertation or be on some radical type but if you do, send it to me because I'll read it. However, I'm just asking you or inviting you to be an active participant in your life, but mainly in your music consumption instead of a passive receiver of whatever's trending. So I invite y'all to share some of y'all's favorite music down below. It don't even have to be just hip-hop, but share some of y'all's favorite artists, share some of y'all's favorite albums, and just share something that really stirs your soul and does it for you and not just your algorithm. And just one more thing, remember, just because something is popular doesn't mean it's good. People once thought the earth was flat and that cloud goggles were cool. So let's not repeat history's mistakes, okay? Are you gonna let your Spotify Wrapped be a carbon copy of everyone else's and support what you're damn near being brainwashed to enjoy? Because let's be real, nonetheless, the choice is yours. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed this video because I thoroughly enjoyed writing it. I'm not the type of girl who likes to engage and pay attention to people who I don't care for or people who aren't my faves or whatever you want to call it, but this has just been weighing so heavy on my heart. I just wanted to talk about it because a lot of people confuse notoriety with ability. Again, not expecting her to be perfect as it's been 2 years, but girl, give us something. You've been giving us nothing but her little munchkins like that. Oh, and one more thing I'd like to say. I don't like that when women critique another woman, all of these other women and little girls, really it's little girls because women don't think this way. All these other little girls come, you're not a girl's girl. You're just mad. You're just a hater. She's so pretty. I don't understand why y'all are hating. Just because somebody's pretty does not leave them exempt to criticism. And just because I'm a woman does not mean I am unable to critique and criticize other women. If I want to critique something, I'm gonna do just that. Thank you. I don't like the term female rappers or female artists, but for the sake of the conversation, I will be listing other female artists down below in the Google Doc. They'll range from artists across the world. It's really only the US. I don't really know many No, there's going to be some other, there's going to be some worldwide international rappers on there as well. Be on the lookout for that because that will be down below in the description. Also, all my sources and research material will also be down below as always. But thank y'all so much for tuning in. Let me know y'all's thoughts down below. Thank y'all so much for tuning into this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Hope you enjoyed, and yeah, bye.